The Kurdistan Workers Party, known as the PKK, has announced its decision to disband and disarm as part of a peace initiative with Türkiye. The announcement ends 4 decades of armed struggle against the Turkish government. So the Kurdish armed group, the Kurdistan Workers Party, was founded in 1978 by Abdullah Ocalan. In 1984, it launched an armed insurgency against Türkiye seeking independence, but later pushed for Kurdish rights and autonomy. More than 40,000 people have since been killed in the conflict. The PKK operates from mountain strongholds in northern Iraq. Türkiye regularly strikes its bases, despite Iraq saying the attacks violate its sovereignty. It's also linked to YPG fighters in Syria, a key U.S. ally against ISIL. And this has created tension between Türkiye and the U.S. as Ankara sees the YPG as part of the PKK. Türkiye, the United States, and the European Union classify the PKK as a terrorist organization, while its supporters call it a resistance movement. We'll now speak to Matthew Bryza, who's a former U.S. diplomat, joining us from Istanbul this hour. Thanks for your time. So back in February, there was a statement that was issued by the PKK's leader, Abdullah Ocalan, in which he called on the organization to lay down its arms. So in that sense, was this decision expected? And what's your reaction to it?
Yes, Irene, this was expected. The leadership organization of the PKK had said, okay, we're going to have a Congress, and then we'll take our next round of decisions. And that just happened on Friday. So Öcalan announced that everything was moving in this direction. Now the organization itself has officially announced we are disbanding and laying down our arms. My reaction is to say gigantic development for Turkey, both for its internal security. This has been an insurgency going on since 1984, but also for Turkish foreign policy, because as you mentioned, the PKK's affiliate in Syria, the YPG, had been an ally of the United States. That created huge tensions between the US and Turkey. So the disbanding of the PKK clears the way now for US-Turkey relations. Now it's been improved dramatically. And also, Turkey had faced a lot of criticism internationally, as you just said, by the Iraqi government for its raids against the PKK leadership on Iraqi territory, and by others because of its fight against these Kurdish militias, which led many in the international community to say that Turkey is against the Kurds. So that was a black spot on Turkey's record and made it more difficult for Turkey to play the role it aspires to, especially in the Middle East, which is one of being a stabilizing force. Okay,
look, let me just ask you about Syria since you brought it up. I mean, is it clear how this decision will affect Syria?
Well, it is. A few weeks ago, the YPG agreed at the urging of the new government in Syria, of al-Shara, that it there in Syria would integrate itself into the Syrian military. So that problem has been being resolved for a while from Ankara's perspective. And so by now, with the PKK having dissolved, that will make the tensions less, the political tensions in Syria that were involving the YPG, and then enhance Turkey's own role and aspiration to help Syria rebuild its government, rebuild its economy, and thereby help Turkey really expand its influence in Syria, which is already quite large.
And any clarity, Matthew Bryza, on how the PKK will actually surrender their weapons? How is this process going to work?
That's a great question. That is complex. No, there's not clarity on that. What the PKK has announced through its affiliated news agency is that its leader, Abdullah Ocalan, imprisoned here in Istanbul since 1999 on terrorism charges, that he will lead this overall process of the dismantling of the PKK. So it seems those details, at least, well, they definitely have not been announced, but I think still need to be worked out. And I think that PKK statement that I just cited is a suggestion that this is all contingent on Öcalan getting released from prison here in Turkey, which has been discussed for the last several months.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Matthew Bryza, you're a former U.S. diplomat speaking to us from Istanbul this hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.